I had forgotten how to live. You know, I was held down by
Mm-hmm.
circumstances, and I felt like that I had just existed, and I forgot how to
Right.
live, truly live. Titles, money, wealth, fame, nothing keeps people from having adversities. Nothing. And for me, I found purpose. I said, I have to get through this. I have to pull myself up, because if I don't help these children, who will? These children need me. And if it wasn't for them, I would not be here. So for me, it was finding purpose, finding meaning in what I was going through. When I told people I was going to start this foundation and I was going to do all these things, and they said, Martha, you have a suitcase. You restarted your life, and how are you going to do this? And I just, kind of make the joke that, Gandhi changed an entire nation and he didn't even have pants. So, and the thing is you don't have to, have it all figured out, and you don't have to have you just take the first step. Take the first step.
Our guest today is a nurse, writer, and humanitarian with a passion to help improve the lives of children in her community as well as the global community. She penned her incredible life journey in her books, Lead with Your Heart and Enjoy the Journey, and she is joining us today to share her inspirational story. Welcome to the show, Martha Hoy.
Oh, thank you, Mike. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Or should I say Mother Martha,
right?
Yeah,
Mother Martha, yeah.
It is great to have you here. I know we've talked a few times. I've heard your story. I believe it was Luke, a mutual friend of ours, that connected us and said, you need to talk to Martha, get her story out to the world. And that's what we're doing here today.
Yes.
And people can tune into you at mothermarthafamilyfoundation.org. And the two books are Enjoy the Journey and Lead with Your Heart, both available on Amazon, correct?
Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
Barnes & Noble as well. And I got the website correct. It's mothermarthafamilyfoundation.org. So guys, check that out. She's doing incredible things all across the world. So can you walk us through? I know this is a difficult story to share. I know you've done it many times, but I want the audience to know this is essentially an intertwining kind of backbone story that leads you into this incredible journey. Can you walk us through that? Like ultimately what took place to influence your book and your journey?
Well, it began in 2003 when I was in a car accident. I was rear-ended at a high speed, and I was left in a hospital bed with the only view of the world was the ceiling. It took a year to recover, and I had 15 surgeries. So that was sort of the catalyst that changed my life.
Obviously, that's one of those reminders that every day we don't, you don't wake up in the day and know exactly what you're about to experience. And in this situation, you had a near-death experience that really altered the rest of your life. But aside from even the things that come after, the amazing things that come from it, you had to deal with very in-the-moment things. What was your recovery time like? And share the story. Didn't you have either a employee at the hospital, wasn't a friend that came to you and kind of gave you some advice? Was it a quote or something that really kind of started the inspirational part of your journey?
I was going to nursing school at the time when I was in the accident, and my goal was to finish nursing school. And a friend of mine came to my bedside and she said, Martha, I can see this going one of two ways. You're either going to lay here and play the victim and this is all you're going to do, or you're going to do something with it. She said, I'm going to send you a book. And that was it. Everyone else was giving me well wishes. I'll be here for you. Not Sylvia. She was she was taking the tough love approach, but I'm so glad that she did. A few days later, the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl showed up. And I read the book, and it really changed my perception. This was a man who lived through the worst concentration camps of World War II. And not only did he survive, but he thrived afterwards. So that's when I decided that I was going to recover. It took me a year, and I did graduate nursing school May of 2005 from the University of Charleston.
Wow, that's incredible. So obviously you had this kind of, okay, I'm not going to play the victim anymore.
Yes.
I can take the situation I'm in and I can figure a way to not only get through it, but I can even be better off for it in some way, which I've heard this said over and over. I live my life this way. Things happen for you, not
Exactly.
to you. And certainly in the moment, it's not easy to even think about that. But when we reflect on it, it's like, okay, what can I take? This situation happened. That I cannot physically change.
Sure.
I don't have a magic wand. Say I don't ever want that accident to happen. This recovery process, the surgeries you had multiple surgeries, right?
15.
That couldn't change, but you could change your mindset and mentality. And that sounds, warm and fluffy. Oh yeah, it's just change your mentality. It's not so easy. Right. You were also going through some turmoil at home that you had to kind of separate yourself from. Was that at the same time, or was that a little bit later?
Yeah, at the same time.
Yeah.
I was also in an abusive marriage, and I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis also afterward. What happened after that is when things really started to change. I met an orphan named Jeffrey Magisha. A friend of mine had adopted his brother and brought him to the United States, to Minneapolis, Minnesota. And he had lost his parents, and I was going through all these things, and I needed a friend, and he needed guidance. So I became sort of a mentor. He became my sponsor child. So I decided that I was recovering. I went back to work, and I decided that I was going to help him go to school, that I was going to put him through school. And that I did. I put him through college. He has a law degree now. And in 2018 is when another catalyst happened in my life. My then husband came in my bedroom as I was watching TV. This was May 13th, 2018, Mother's Day. What a coincidence, since I'm known as Mother Martha in Uganda. So right. He came in my bedroom. I knew that I had to leave. I had to leave. Things were escalating, and I knew that if I didn't go right then, nothing good was going to happen. And it's really not about what he did. It's about what happened afterwards. So I got in my car. I was crying. I had nowhere to go because everyone in my life had pretty much turned away from me. I had reached out for a very long time to those around me to tell them what was going on with me.
Was it going on deaf ears at that time?
Yes. Yeah. Even my family.
So you very much felt like you had the only person that could change this had to be you.
Had to be me.
You or nothing, right?
Had to be me.
Yeah.
So, I ran out of the house. It was this big dramatic thing. Of course, I was afraid. I was crying. I got in my car and I just started driving. And I drove to a point where I knew I was safe. And I pulled over and I thought, who can I call? I had no one to call. I had nowhere to go. But I just knew there was one person who had never let me down. He was 7,000 miles away in Uganda at that time. And I called Jeffrey Magisha and told him what happened. He said, Martha, go to my brother. Go to my brother in Minneapolis. You have done so much for me. You have done so much for the country of Uganda. Go to my brother. So that's what I did. I spent a summer of 2018 in Minneapolis, Minnesota with his brother Ivan and his roommate Joe. Joe is a gentleman from Rwanda. And they kept me safe for 4 months as I could get things settled. So I got a divorce while I was in Minnesota. After that, I decided that, I had spent a lot of my life. I had forgotten how to live. I was held down by circumstances, and I felt like that I had just existed, and I forgot how to live, truly live. So a friend of mine had moved to Las Vegas, and she said, hey, Martha, let's come to Las Vegas. What a better place to start a life as a single person. So that I did, and we decided that I wanted to give back to these children. Jeffrey grew up in an orphanage called Balamo Children's Village in Kampala, Uganda. And I made it my mission in life to make sure that the work that is being done with children there continues. Because of that, I'm still here. Because of the work that is being done there, I'm still here. So I then decided I was going to make I guess you could call it a bucket list of places and things that I always wanted to do. So in 2019, at the beginning, I got on a plane at McCarran International Airport and I went on one hell of a journey. And that's where my book, Enjoy the Journey, starts.
Was that right at the airport? That scene with you, weren't you at the piano? Is that the moment?
That was in Minneapolis. Yeah, that was in
that
Minneapolis.
was in Minneapolis.
Yeah. So I decided that I had a list of New York City. I know we've talked about this before. I think that's the best pizza on the planet, but I know you think it's Buffalo.
Hey, I'm in Buffalo, New York. We can agree to disagree.
We can agree to disagree. It's okay. I'll have pizza either place. It's okay.
Yeah. We're not going to even argue about the wings.
No,
right?
No, you got that. You got that. That's
all right, cool.
You got that.
We're good. We'll calm down. I'll calm down a little bit.
You got that. So I went to New York City. I went to Paris, France. I went to Milan, Italy.
Were you traveling by yourself or were you with Ivan?
I was traveling by myself.
Wow.
The one thing that I had left from my life, and that's why there's a picture of a young lady with a suitcase on the front of Enjoy the Journey, is because that's all I had left from my life. My previous was a suitcase.
This is an incredible, I don't mean to interject real quick, but Martha, your story, I get chills. I've heard this a few times and I've heard it from you now. Technical issues. We're kind of re-recording this. And I think I know everything happens for a reason. So there's a reason that this version of it is the one that's going to go out into the world. But when I'm hearing you tell the story again, I picture it. I don't know what movie director and production house, and I know you're doing this in LA. Maybe you need to hit up some studios before you go home. But this is a story. I just picture the movie poster. I just picture that suitcase, however you can define it to us, to give us a mental or visual on the cover of this story. I know it's on your book.
Yes.
I picture it on a movie, and maybe it's you in it, you could see part of your dress or whatever you're, holding this, and just kind of the life, the world traveler. But these opportunities are all coming after you escaped a, life and death situation in an auto accident, and very much so in your home. You had an abusive husband who, from hearing your story, I don't want to put words in his mouth or the situation or your mouth at all, but it sounds like he kind of had you in a situation that you could run anywhere and tattletale, because he knew that your family took his side the whole time.
Sure.
No matter what you did,
sure,
they took his side. So you had to get out of there, because it was either one more day in that house and you don't know what the next situation was going to escalate to.
Right.
So then that turns into this incredible journey where you connect with, almost it seems like an angel on earth here, through Jeffrey and Ivan, that they're helping you out. And then it leads you into this tremendous story of helping them and their community out. You would have never been there. I mean, we're talking Uganda, who picks up and just points at the map and says, I'm going to go make a difference here. It was so incredibly random. And now you are, I'm saying this, I know you're humble, but you're a hero over there right now. And because of this crazy story, it's allowed you this unique opportunity. But let's be real. I just want to say this. You're the one who did it. I mean, so many people can get the knock at their door, the calling,
sure,
whether you believe in God, the universe. You got this unique knock at your door, and then you took it from there. So pick the story back up if we don't mind. I just want to make sure our audience understands kind of the goosebumps I have listening to this story right now.
Yeah, so I took that suitcase, the one thing that I had left of my life that I had run from my life with, and I packed it in, went to McCarran International Airport, and I was going to do all the things that I wanted to do, but yet I was held down by circumstances. When you're in that situation, when you're in an abusive relationship, people tell you who you are. They tell you what you're going to do, what you like, even where your personal, possessions are going to be placed. And I really didn't know who I was. So I also say it was sort of like a journey of self-discovery as well. Of course I ate pizza, but I went to New York City. I went to Milan, Italy. I went to Paris, France. And I went to the Middle East, and that is in there because I have a friend who also helps children in Uganda. He's from Uganda, and I went there to spend time with him, and we spent some time in the Middle East, having some adventures together, and that's in there. And my end goal was to see Jeffrey, was to be in Uganda and hug Jeffrey.
Jeffrey was your phone call, right?
He was my phone call. He was my sponsored child, and he was the person that said, "Go to my brother." I mean, my Ugandan family saved my life, and I'm very direct about that. So I wanted to hug Jeffrey, and I wanted to thank him for what he had done for me, because without him, without my Ugandan family, I would not be here. So that was the end goal. And also, when I told Jeffrey I wanted to help him go through school, I asked him to do one thing for me. I asked him to pay it forward. Pay the kind act forward in some way to someone else. Didn't have to be anything big. It could have just been buy someone a meal. What he did was beyond my expectations. So what Jeffrey did was he started a charitable foundation in Kampala, Uganda called Amaka Foundation Africa. And that word is AMKA. It's a Swahili word that means to rise or to lift. So what it does is it helps these children when they come out of the orphanage to get job skills so they can learn to be independent and care for themselves. I wanted, when I got to Uganda, my goal was to see this foundation. I wanted to see the people that indirectly I had changed their lives. And I did. When I got there, I went to Amaka, and I also went to Malamo Children's Village as well. So I could see the place where Ivan and Jeffrey had grown up.
How are they doing now? Are they someone that you live in Vegas?
I do live in
LA
Vegas.
Now?
I'm in LA right now helping out as a nurse.
Awesome. Let's give a quick shout out to Third Wheel Podcast Studio too, because that's where you're tuning in from today, and they're doing a great job. So I just the reason I asked that question is when I'm hearing your story, I'm trying to imagine you have this amazing relationship, but obviously distance and travel is kind of a wedge that is there when you're home, when you're living at home in the States. But obviously it's 2021. We have phone calls, we have FaceTime. So how often do you get to stay in tune with what they're doing, and have you been able to grow that relationship over time?
Sure. Every day I talk to my Ugandan family. Every day. Yes, every day.
Those are your brothers, right?
That's my family. Yeah.
We have so much we could talk about. This could literally be one of those like Joe Rogan style 3-hour interviews.
Absolutely,
I really feel we could do that. And the unfortunate thing is we are a little pressed for time. I'm going to take a quick time out here to hit our sponsor. We're going to come back and we're going to have like a powerful 12-minute to kind of share where you're at today in the process, and people can really learn about the organization and how they can help out as well. So let's take a quick time out. We'll be right back in 60 seconds. Podcasting is a great way to engage with your audience and stay consistently relevant. The only problem is you don't have the time or desire to produce your own show. You simply want it done for you, and that's where Social Chameleon comes in. All you need to do is press record and upload the files. We'll handle the rest. From planning, production, post-production, distribution, and digital marketing, we have you covered. We realize that times are tough and funds are tight, and Social Chameleon believes in building supportive business relationships. By clicking on the link in this promo, we'll provide you 7 free podcasting tips to get started, as well as a free 30-minute online consultation. This is the perfect opportunity for entrepreneurs, keynote speakers, industry experts, influencers, and anybody who has a personal brand. With Social Chameleon, we help you build a brand that is out of this world. We're ready and waiting, so what are you waiting for? Click on the link to get started today. All right, guys, we're back in action with Martha, and you, again, can learn more about her journey and the impact that she's making at mothermarthafamilyfoundation.org. So let's pick the story back up. You were saying you are, thanks to technology, able to connect with Ivan and Jeffrey every day.
Every day.
They're your family, they're your brothers, And so what are some of the cool things you guys are doing together in modern day? We're recording this in October of 2021. So what's the scoop?
Well, in the future, this is the plan, future-wise. I'm a nurse. What we're going to do now is we have bought property near the orphanage, and we are going to start to build a medical center there. And the goal is to help, personally for me, I want to help train nurses there. And also there's a big need, especially right now with COVID, and they have very few ICU rooms. They have very few, access to medical care. And right now that's very, very important. Of course, it's important all the time, but, the need has, with COVID. Yeah.
Let me interject one more time too, because this is just me. I'm a little naive. I know Uganda, but I don't know it well. I don't know what the different communities look like, what the social structure looks like, and even what the economy there looks like. So you're talking about, hospitals. Many people may be tuning in here in the States, and, it could be a little bit of a, I don't want to say luxury. That's not even close to the right word, but something that we have. Like if we get hurt, we go to the doctor.
Sure.
We get hurt, we go to the hospital. But what's that look like there? Because you're talking about building a hospital for those in need, but also I want to put it in perspective to really how incredible that is based on the situation there.
Well, life there is much different, and I have a lot of friends that they're like, why do you leave Las Vegas to go to Uganda? Well, honey, it's called love, first of all, but life there is much different. Only 11% of the population have access to electricity. They have poor leadership, and there's one. I have a gentleman who drives me there. His name is Sam, and he has also became. You can meet him in my books, part of my family. And I always talk about the road structure there. There are no street signs. There are no traffic lights. There are no traffic laws. It's just it is a I think I've seen like maybe 3 paved roads there. So, life there is much different. They have 2.5 million orphans in a country of around 40 million people. And when I say orphans, I mean, Sam will be driving with me in the streets of Kampala, which is their capital city, and you will see groups of homeless children, sometimes as young as age 4.
Just on this out in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
Well, there's no street, right? It's just all anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
And so you're obviously creating an infrastructure for those to get medical attention and care, which is important for survival. But you're also doing things you have the orphanage that you've helped create, right? Did you create that from the ground up as well, or kind of take what was there and make it even better?
There's a gentleman, his name is Joseph Lubica, which everyone calls him Uncle Joseph. So, there's Mother Martha, there's Uncle Joseph,
Uncle Joe.
I think he's an earth angel. He started Beloved Children's Village. He started with a few children, and now he has 484 children. Feeding and getting 484 children to school and all of these things, it's a big task. And
just to get them to put their name on a sheet of paper in a classroom anywhere is impressive, and let alone, teaching them about life.
And this is where Jeffrey and Ivan grew up. And I have pictures of it also on social media and on our website. So if anyone is interested in helping Uncle Joseph, the children, a lot of children there need sponsors. They need all the help they could get. Teachers, you name it, they need it. They need school supplies, they need clothing, everything.
Incredible. And I'm going to have the links clickable in the show notes. So if anybody wants to get more information on this and they're touched by your story and they're touched by the families and the orphans in need right now that are calling saying, please help me, we're able to help out. So I'm going to have links, whether it's your website or if there's anything else you want for a particular call to action, I want to have that available. What I'd love to do with the next couple minutes here is kind of pick your brain. You've been in a unique life situation, many of them. Really at that situation where it was like the light was flickering. You know, it kind of feels like you're down on the mat. You just wrestled the situation. I said it feels like you're wrestling a bear in a tornado. I don't know if I heard that somewhere before, but it kind of defines the situation of you trying to get through a tough situation in the middle of many tough situations. Talk to our audience right now. There's many people tuning in that may be struggling personally, financially, business, marriage, and they feel like that the light's flickering and they almost have little to no hope. I know you felt that. What would you like to tell them, to say, you know what, deliver a message to that so they can get through this? What would you tell them?
Well, we've all been there. We've all been there. We've all had those moments where it felt everything was hopeless. You know, titles, money, wealth, fame, nothing keeps people from having adversities. Nothing. And, you know, for me, just like Viktor Frankl, you know, he found purpose in what he was going through. And for me, I found purpose. I said, I have to get through this. I have to pull myself up, because if I don't help these children, who will? These children need me. And if it wasn't for them, I would not be here. So for me, it was finding purpose, finding meaning in what I was going through. So that's why I started to write my books, because I thought, I've been through all of this and I've learned a great deal of things. So that was my other purpose, was to use the situation in order to share it with other people, because somebody out there is going through some version of what I went through. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to share with people what I had learned.
So if you're in that situation where you feel like it's all is almost lost, realize that what you've gone through, you know, that situation can become your superpower.
Sure.
In this case, it was like the kids absolutely need you, but look, that became your purpose. And now you kind of feel, hey, I need them. I give them love. Their love back to me is my serving purpose. It's the light that gets me out of bed in the morning. Sure. Thank you so much for sharing about your book and how your incredible story inspired you to put it to pages, right? Pen to paper, and then allowing really people to learn from your story. So you're saying, hey, I took these lumps along the way, so please learn something from this so you don't have to go through it exactly how I did. And maybe you can get them up a little bit higher quicker so they don't have to go through all those muddy situations. Is that part of the inspiration for writing your books?
Yes, that was the inspiration, yes.
Talk a little bit, and I know we're kind of wrapping up on time, and I appreciate anybody who's hanging out. We had a few things going on here with sound and audio. We're making it happen. Martha is always really gracious about having patience with me when things like that happen. So to put a huge bow on this episode, right, I always talk about, and I was thinking about this when you were sharing about your story, the inspiration for me doing this podcast, it's really to inspire people to be brave and bold in pursuit of their dreams. And you don't always know what your dreams are. It's not like when you're a kid, if you want to be a ball player, that doesn't always end up being your dream. You have these beautiful things that present themselves, like your story did to you. Yeah. And I'm telling you, I've interviewed over 100 people. I'd say this story right here totally resonates with the reason that I started my podcast. But I didn't know you when I started it. And I didn't know I'd be sharing your story today and you'd be sharing it with our audience. And so I feel the key word, on purpose. You mentioned that you live in purpose, and I do as well. And that's why I do this show. So this is really like a special moment for me. So I just wanted to, again, thank you for your time, for being here.
Oh, thank you.
Last moment of the show here to kind of wrap things up. If you're going to talk to our audience and say, hey, I'm here to inspire you to be brave and bold in pursuit of your dreams. Maybe They're on the fence. They're a little scared about what may come with it, what people think about them taking that leap up. What would you tell them right now if they're kind of questioning if they should go for it or not?
Take the first step. You don't have to have it all figured out. Just take the first step. And, you know, when I told people I was going to start this foundation and I was going to do all these things, and they said, Martha, you have a suitcase. You restarted your life. And how are you going to do this? And I just, kind of make the joke that, Gandhi changed an entire nation, and he didn't even have pants. So, you know, so, and the thing is you don't have to, have it all figured out, and you don't have to have you just take the first step. Take the first step.
Right. That's incredible. I mean, that's the thing. I think a lot of times we try to picture what the finished product's going to look like, and we try solving for that way too soon. And really, it's like those daily micro steps that we need to be taking.
Absolutely.
And then eventually you turn around, you're 100 miles down on your journey, right? You're 6 different cities in, you're having New York pizza, right? And whatever it might be. And you're like, how did I get here? But it's because you took really your first step in your story was a scary one. You had to escape, an abusive husband, now ex-husband, that you didn't know what that moment was going to look like. You had 15 surgeries. You kind of went through the car accident situation quickly today. And it's like, that was, that in itself is its story. The fact that you recovered from that, you had multiple surgeries, they had to put you back together in many ways. And that right there, that could be a book, right? And then your personal story with your husband, how you had to escape a life-threatening situation, that's another book. Meeting Ivan and Jeffrey in the phone call, that's a whole nother book. And you did it all in one. I mean, that's what I'm telling you. This is a story that I can imagine somebody turning into, if not myself, because I have a passion for screenwriting as well. So maybe we can work together and we'll actually put this into a screenplay or get it out somehow. I really think, why I want to do that is because of the people that we can impact on it and inspire. Not everybody's going to become Mother Martha in Uganda, but they have their version of that to do in different pockets of the world.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't always have to be creating an orphanage. It could be something completely different. It could be launching a business. It could be being the best mother or father in their household. It could be inspiring them to be an incredible, you fill in the blank. And your story is doing that. It's done it for me. And thank you so much for your time and being here today. Any last words you'd like to share with our audience before we go our 2 separate ways today?
Yeah. And I always say that it's not what happens to you. It's about who you become. Just like my friend that was standing over me in the hospital. What are you going to do with this? What are you going to do with it?
That's the call to action, everybody. Thank you so much for staying with us to the end here. And what are you going to do with any situation, good, bad, or ugly? What you do with it is what's important. And that's really what defines, when we look up to someone who's inspirational, it's they've just made that decision more than others, right? It's not that they fail less, just that they've taken the adversity and they've handled it in a way that puts them into that, position. You're not looking for status or anything like that. You're just saying, look, I took this incredibly unique situation and difficult situation, and I'm just every day trying to do something positive over there, and you've done it. So this is amazing. And I know we have to wrap. I really don't want to, because I feel like there's so much more, but so we're going to have everybody click through to that website to learn about it, learn about what you're doing in Uganda. And then also hopefully that inspires people to take some action and help out in any which way they can. You have a friend here in Buffalo, New York. If you ever travel this way, maybe you're coming up to see Niagara Falls, please give me a shout. I'd love to take you out for lunch or hear more about the next chapter of your story. Because I know these 2 books are they're 2 books, right? There's probably a third one, fourth.
There is a third one. I'm working on a third one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. So, Martha, thank you so much. You're amazing. I'm honored to have you as a friend and a podcast guest. And thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
I'd like to give a huge shout out to everyone for tuning in, especially those who listen all the way to the end to hear this message. Seriously, I appreciate you, and my guests do as well. Giving a quick reminder to subscribe to this show. It's completely free and will allow you to receive notifications when new episodes are released. If you'd like to provide a tip as a gift, you can do so via patreon.com/mikedup. It's spelled MIKED up. Patreon.com/mikedup. You can give as little as $1 per month or as much as you'd like. Every dollar is greatly appreciated and completely unexpected. Appreciate your reviews and your messages coming in on social as well. Keep them coming. Your feedback is valuable and absolutely means the world to me. You can check out more episodes and content at mikeduppodcast.com. We're powered by Social Chameleon. You can also follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm the most active, and it's at Mike DiCioccio, MikeDiCioccio. Thank you so much for your continued support. You guys know what to do. Be great and be grateful.